Hello and welcome everyone. Let's begin with a short meditation. Sit back comfortably. Withdraw your attention from the outside world and bring it to yourself. As you breathe deeply, bring your attention to any tension or discomfort in your body. Starting from your toes, work your way up to the head, top of your head. Releasing any tightness or stress as you exhale. With each breath, feel yourself letting off more and more tension, allowing yourself to sink deeper into relaxation. Notice the sense of calm and serenity that arises within you. Feel the peacefulness spreading through your body, soothing your mind and heart. And filling you entirely, nurturing and comforting you. Allow this space to grow brighter with each breath, illuminating your path and guiding you towards greater inner peace. Repeat to yourself, I am peace. I am calm. I am grounded. I trust my ability to navigate life's challenges with grace. Okay, thank you so much. So we'll begin with today's session. I'll just share the screen with you. Okay. So today we're going to start with chapter 4 from the book To Kill a Mockingbird. Okay. So the remainder of my school days were no more auspicious than the first. Indeed, they were an endless project that slowly evolved into a unit in which miles of construction paper and wax crayon were expended by the state of Alabama in its well meaning but fruitless efforts to teach me group dynamics. What Jem called the Dewey Decimal System was school wide by the end of my first year, so I had no chance to compare it with other teaching techniques. I could only look around. I could only look around me, Atticus and my uncle, who went to school at home, knew everything. At least one, at least what one didn't know, the other did. Furthermore, I couldn't help noticing that my father had served for years in the state legislature, elected each time without opposition, innocent of the adjustments by teachers, thought essential to the development of good citizenship. Jem, educated on a half decimal, half Dunsicap basis, seemed to function effectively alone or in a group, but Jem was a poor example. No tutorial system devised by man could have stopped him from getting at books. As for me, I knew nothing except what I gathered from Time magazine and reading everything I could lay on at home. But as I inched sluggishly along the treadmill of the Macomb County school system, I could not help receiving the impression that I was being cheated out of something, out of what I knew not. Yet I did not believe that 12 years of unrelieved boredom was exactly what the state had in mind for me. तो यहाँ पे स्काउट कह रही है कि जो उसके बाकी के जो स्कूल के दिन थे वो बिल्कुल वैसे ही थे जैसे फर्स्ट था। उसको रीडिंग और राइटिंग में ज्यादा शी वाज मोर फॉन्ड ऑफ रीडिंग, बट स्कूल में ड्यूई डेसिमल सिस्टम का उन्होंने यूज करते थे एंड इन दैट वो फ्लैश कार्ड्स के थ्रू सिखाते थे। तो वो उसको ज्यादा नहीं, she used to not like that so much. तो वो वही बता रही है कि she was not so happy with the school system and the teaching techniques. As the year passed, released from school 30 minutes before Jem, who had to stay until 3 o'clock, I ran by the Radley place as fast as I could, not stopping until I reached the safety of our front porch. One afternoon, as I raced by, something caught my eye and caught it in such a way that I took a deep breath, a look around, and went back. तो स्काउट यहाँ पे बताती कि वो हाफ एन आवर पहले जेम से घर के लिए चली जाती थी। जेम को स्कूल रुकना पड़ता था टिल 3 o'clock, बट शी यूज टू लीव हाफ एन आवर बिफोर। तो वो जाती थी और वो क्विकली रैडली प्लेस को भाग कर पास करती थी। बट एक दिन क्या हुआ, जब वो जा रही थी उसने कुछ देखा एंड रैडली प्लेस के वहां, तो वो दोबारा गई वहां पर देखने के लिए कि व्हाट वाज दैट शी मिस्ड। Two live oaks stood at the edge of the Radley lot. Their roots reached out into the side road and made it bumpy. Something about one of the trees attracted my attention. तो उसने देखा तो उसको दो ट्रीज दिखे वहां पे, और कुछ तो था उसमें जो उसका which attracted her attention. Some tinfoil was sticking in a knothole just above my eye level, winking at me in the afternoon sun. I stood on tiptoe hastily, looked around once more, reached into the hole and withdraw two pieces of chewing gum, minus their outer wrappers. तो वहां पे उसने देखा कि एक नॉट होल है, और फिर उसने ना आसपास देखा कि कोई है तो नहीं, तो उसने क्या किया, उसमें से टू पीसेस ऑफ चुइंग गम निकाले विदाउट द रैपर्स। My first impulse was to get it into my mouth as quickly as possible. But I remembered where I was. I ran home, and on our front porch, I examined my loot. The gum looked fresh. I sniffed it, and it smelled all right. I licked it and waited for a while. When I did not die, I crammed it into my mouth. Wrigley's Double Mint. तो एज सून एज वो घर भाग के पहुंचती है तो फिर वो जो च्युइंगम उठाती है उसको देखती है, उसको स्मेल करती है, फिर उसको लिक करती है, एंड देन शी फील्स कि इट्स फाइन टू ईट, तो फिर शी हैज दैट च्युइंगम. When Jem came home, he asked me where I got such a bat. I told him I found it. Don't eat things you find, Scout. This wasn't on the ground. It was in a tree, Jem growled. Well, it was, I said. It was sticking in that tree yonder, the one coming from school. Spit it out right now. तो जेम जब घर आता है वो स्काउट उसे बताती है उसको कहाँ से मिली वो गम. तो जेम बहुत जेम उसको गुस्सा करता है और कहता है कि आप कुछ भी अपने मुंह में ऐसे नहीं डालना चाहिए आपको. एंड स्पिट इट आउट राइट नाउ. I spat it out. The tang was fading anyway. I've been chewing it all afternoon and I ain't dead yet, not even sick. Jen stamped his foot. Don't you know you're not supposed to even touch the trees over there? You'll get killed if you do. You touched the house once. That was different. You go gargle right now. You hear me? Ain't neither. It'll take the taste out of my mouth. You don't, and I'll tell California on you. तो जेम उसको कहता है कि जैसे उसने वो ट्रीज के अंदर से निकाला वो गम, तो ही शुड नॉट शी इज नॉट सपोज टू इवन टच द ट्रीज. उसको याद दिलाता है तो फिर स्काउट कहते हैं कि उस जेम ने तो घर भी टच किया है उनका. तो एनीवे जेम बहुत नाराज होता है और कहता है कि आप गो एंड गागल वट एवर यू हैव इन योर माउथ, अदरवाइज आई कंप्लेन टू कैलिफोर्निया. Rather than risk a tangle with Calpurnia, I did as Jem told me. For some reason, my first year of school had wrought a great change in our relationship. Calpurnia's tyranny, unfairness, and meddling in my business had faded to gentle grumblings of general disapproval. On my part, I went to much trouble, sometimes not to provoke her. तो जो जब से स्कूल जाना शुरू किया स्काउट ने, तो उसका और कैलिफोर्निया का रिलेशनशिप बहुत चेंज हो गया था. वो उससे ना वो कैलिफोर्निया उसके साथ बहुत जेंटल बिहेव करना शुरू कर दिया था उसने. तो तभी वो कोशिश करती थी कि उसको प्रोवोक ना करे, उसको तंग ना करे, so that they don't get into an argument. Summer was on the way. Jem and I awaited it with impatience. Summer was our best season. It was sleeping on the back screened porch in cots or trying to sleep in the treehouse. Summer was everything good to eat. It was a thousand colors in a parched landscape, but most of all, summer was still. तो समर अभी आने वाला था और जैम और स्काउट वो बहुत इम्पेशेंटली वेट कर रहे थे, क्योंकि वो समर में रिलैक्स करते थे. और मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंटली क्या होता था, समर में डिल आता था उनका जो फ्रेंड है जिसके साथ वो थ्रू आउट द समर खेलते थे, एंजॉय करते थे. तो दे वो बोथ लुकिंग forward to the summer. The authorities released us early the last day of school, and Jem and I walked home together. Reckon old Dill be coming home tomorrow, I said. Probably day after, said Jim. Necessity termed them lose a day later. तो जिस दिन लास्ट डे होता है स्कूल का, उस दिन वो हाफ एन आवर जल्दी आ जाते हैं और वो वही डिस्कस करते हैं कि डिल कब आ रहा है. As we came to the live oaks at the Radley place, I raised my finger to point for the 100th time to the knothole, where I had found the chewing gum, trying to make Jem believe I had found it there, and found myself pointing at another piece of tinfoil. I see it, Scout, I see it. तो उतने में जब वो रैडली प्लेस पास करते हैं, स्काउट फिर से वो नॉट होल में पॉइंट करती है जहां से उसको चुइंग गम मिला. और वो उसको बताती है जेम को कि वहां पे एक और पीस ऑफ टिन फॉइल है। तो जेम कहता है आई सी इट। Jem looked around, reached up, and gingerly pocketed a tiny, shiny package. We ran home, and on the front porch, we looked at a small box patchworked with bits of tinfoil collected from chewing gum wrappers. It was the kind of box wedding rings came in, purple velvet within with a minute catch. Jem flicked open the tiny catch. Inside were two scrubbed and polished pennies, one on top of the other. Jem examined them. Indian heads, he said. 1906 and Scout, one of them's 1900. These are real old. तो जब वो घर आता है वो पैक वो लेके वो जो उसको मिलता है टिन फॉइल। तो इट वाज उसमें क्या होता है उसको दो पेनीज मिलते हैं पॉलिश्ड पेनीज देखता है। तो वो आपस में डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि ये है क्या। 1900 I echoed. Say, hush a minute, I'm thinking. Jen, you reckon that's somebody's hiding place? Now, don't anybody much but pass by there, unless it's some grown person. Grown folks don't have hiding places. You reckon we ought to keep them, Jem? I don't know what we could do, Scout. Who'd we give them back to? I know for a fact don't anybody go by there. Cecil goes by the back street and all the way around by town to get home. Cecil Jacobs, who lived at the far end of our street next door to the post office, walked a total of 1 mile per school day to avoid the Radley place and old Mrs. Henry Lafayette Dubhouse. Mrs. Dubhouse lived 2 doors up the street from us. Neighborhood opinion was unanimous that Mrs. Dubhouse was the meanest old woman who ever lived. Jen wouldn't go by her place without Atticus beside him. तो जब वो उनको मिलते हैं वो कॉइन्स तो वो सोचते हैं अब इसका हम क्या करें। तो इस किसको देंगे हम। तो जो एक उनके स्ट्रीट पे बैक स्ट्रीट पे रहता है सेसिल जैकब्स वो हाँ वो ही एक्चुअली लिव्स एट द एंड ऑफ देयर स्ट्रीट नेक्स्ट टू द पोस्ट ऑफिस। बट वो जो है वो एक एक्स्ट्रा माइल्स चल के जाता है स्कूल क्योंकि वो ही डजंट वांट टू पास द रैडली हाउस। तो वो ना देख रहे हैं कि वो किसको दे सकते हैं। तो वो सोचते हैं कि सेसिल जैकब्स को नहीं दे सकते फिर वो सोचते हैं मिसेस हेनरी लफे डबोस है। मिसेस डबोस तो शी लिव्स 2 doors अप द स्ट्रीट बट वो कहते हैं कि शी इज द मीनेस्ट ओल्ड वुमन। वो उनको लगता है वो शी इज वेरी मीन। और जेम कहता है कि वो एटिकस के बिना उसके पास नहीं जाएगा। What you reckon we ought to do, Jem? Finders were keepers unless title was proven. Plucking an occasional camellia, getting a squirt of hot milk from Miss Maudie Atkinson's cow on a summer day, helping ourselves to someone's cuppa was part of our ethical culture. But money was different. तो वो सोचते हैं कि जिनको मिलता है वो उन्हीं का है। फाइंडर्स आर कीपर्स सो द पर्सन हु फाइंड्स इट कीप्स इट अनलेस इट इज प्रूवन। अनलेस कोई प्रूव करे कि वो उनकी चीज नहीं है। तो वो सोचते हैं कि एक कभी फ्लावर प्लग कर लेना या हॉट मिल्क ले लेना किसी से वो सब तो ठीक है। बट व्हाट अबाउट मनी किसी का मनी रखना इज अ बिट डिफरेंट। Tell you what, said Jem, we'll keep them till school starts, then go around and ask everybody if they are theirs. There are some bus childs, maybe he was too taken up with getting out of school today and forgot them. These are somebody's, I know that. See how they've been slicked up. They've been saved. Yeah, but why should somebody want to put away chewing gum like that? You know it doesn't last. तो जेम कहता है कि वो जो कॉइन्स हैं वो रख लेते हैं जब तक स्कूल स्टार्ट होता है, और फिर सबसे जाके पूछ लेंगे, किसी ना किसी का तो होगा और उन्होंने वहां पे सेव करके रखा हो। तो वो फिर स्काउट कहती है, बट च्युइंगम ऐसे क्यों कौन रखता है जैसे उधर पड़ा हुआ था। आई डोंट नो स्काउट, but but these are important to somebody. How's that, Jen? Well, Indian heads, well, they come from the Indians. They are really strong magic. They make you have good luck. Not like fried chicken when you're not looking for it, but things like long life and good health and passing 6 weeks tests. These are real valuable to somebody. I'm going to put them in my trunk. Before Jem went to his room, he looked for a long time at the Radley place. He seemed to be thinking again. 2 days later, Dill arrived in a blaze of glory. He had ridden the train by himself from Meridian to Maycomb Junction. A courtesy Titan Maycomb Junction was in Abbott County, where he had been met by Miss Rachel in Maycomb's one taxi. He had eaten dinner in the diner. He had seen two twins hitched together get off the train in Bay St. Louis and stuck to his story regardless of threats. He had discarded the abominable blue shorts that were buttoned to his shirts and wore real short pants with a belt. He was somewhat heavier, no taller, and said he had seen his father. Dill's father was taller than ours. He had a black beard and was president of the L and N Railroad. तो अभी इतने में क्या होता है, डिल आ जाता है। तो यहाँ पे वो उन्होंने डिस्क्राइब किया है कि डिल खुद से आता है इन द ट्रेन एंड मिस रेचल गोज टू पिक हिम अप। I helped the engineer for a while, said Dill, yawning. In a pig's ear you did, Dill. Hush, said Jim. What will we play today? Tom and Sam and Dick, said Dill. Let's go in the front yard. Dill wanted the Rover boys because there were three respectable parts. He was clearly tired of being our character man. I'm tired of those, I said. I'm tired of playing Tom Rover, who suddenly lost his memory in the middle of a picture show and was out of the script until the end when he was found in Alaska. तो ये लोग सारे मिलके जो गेम्स खेलते हैं, कोई कोई स्टोरीज प्ले का इनैक्ट करते हैं। तो डिल कहता है कि we'll play, one of those stories that they usually enact, Tom and Sam and Dick. But फिर स्काउट कहती है कि no, I'm tired of playing that. कोई कैरेक्टर प्ले करती है वो टॉम रोवर, जो अपनी मेमोरी लूज करता है इन द मिडल ऑफ अ पिक्चर एंड मतलब एंड तक उसका कोई स्क्रिप्ट नहीं होता। तो शी सेइंग शी डजंट वांट टू प्ले दैट रोल। Make us up one, Jem, I said. I'm tired of making them up. Our first days of freedom, and we were tired. I wondered what the summer would bring. We had strolled to the front yard, where Dill stood looking down the street at the dreary face of the Radley place. I smell death, he said. I do mean it, he said, when I told him to shut up. So, वो the kill when they play, they get tired, and then again they, Dill goes and stands in the street, or फिर वो Radley place को देखता है, and he says that he's उसको वहाँ पे death दिखती है, he feels मतलब someone कोई वहाँ पे या तो मर गया है या कुछ तो हुआ है वहाँ पर। You mean when somebody's dying, you can smell it? No, I mean I can smell somebody and tell if they're gonna die. An old lady taught me how. Dill leaned over and sniffed me. Jean Louise Finch, you are going to die in 3 days. तो वो कहता है कि मैं किसी को स्मेल करके कह सकता हूँ कि वो मरने वाले हैं, तो एक ओल्ड लेडी ने उसको सिखाया होता है। तो वो जीन को स्निफ करता है और कहता है कि यू आर गोइंग टू डाई इन 3 days. Dill, if you don't hush, I'll knock you bow-legged. I mean it now. Y'all hush, growled Jen. You act like you believe in hot steams. You act like you don't, I said. What's a hot steam? Asked Dill. Haven't you ever walked along a lonesome road at night and passed by a hot place? Jem asked Dill. A hot steam's somebody who can't get to heaven, just wanders around on lonesome roads, and if you walk through him, when you die, you'll be one too, and you'll go around at night sucking people's breath. How can you keep from passing through one? You can't, said Jim. Sometimes they stretch all the way across the road, but you have to go through one by but you have to go through one, you say. Angel bright, life and death, get off the road, don't suck my breath. That keeps them from wrapping around you. तो वो कहता है कि वो हॉट स्टीम वो हु इज अ हॉट स्टीम दिल पूछता है। तो वो बताते कि हॉट स्टीम वो है जो हेवन नहीं जा सकता और बस वैसे ही घूमता रहता है रोड्स पे। और उसको कहते हैं कि जब व्हेन यू आल्सो डाई आप भी वही बनोगे एंड यू विल कीप रोमिंग अराउंड ओवर हियर इट्स लाइक अ घोस्ट समवॉट घोस्ट। Don't you believe a word he says, Dill? I said. California says that's nigger talk. Jen scowled darkly at me, but said, well, are we going to play anything or not? Let's roll in the tire, I suggested. Jen sighed. You know I'm too big. You can push. I ran to the backyard and pulled an old car tire from under the house. I slapped it to the front yard. I'm first, I said. तो next game क्या कहते हैं? Rolling in the tire, tire में बैठ के roll करना. Dill said he ought to be first. He just got here. Jeb arbitrated awarded me first push with an extra time for Dill, and I folded myself inside the tire. Until it happened, I did not realize that Jem was offended by my contradicting him on hot steam, and that he was patiently awaiting an opportunity to reward me. He did by pushing the tire down the sidewalk with all the force in his body. तो क्या था कि जेम गुस्सा हो गया था दिल से बिकॉज उसने शी वेंट अगेंस्ट हिम। जेम नाराज हो गया था सॉरी स्काउट से बिकॉज स्काउट ने उसके ऑपोजिट बोला। एंड तो ना उसको बड़ा गुस्सा आया हुआ था तो वो जिस टायर के अंदर वो अंदर बैठ गई थी उसको उसने पुश कर दिया। Brown sky and houses melted into a mad palette. My ears throbbed. I was suffocating. I could only hope that Jem would outrun the tire and me, or that I would be stopped by a bump in the sidewalk. I heard him behind me, chasing and shouting. The tire bumped on gravel, skittered across the road, crashed into a barrier, and popped me like a cork onto pavement. Dizzy and nauseated, I lay on the cement and shook my head still, pounded my ears to silence, and heard Jem's voice. Scout, get away from there, come on. तो वो गिर जाती है टायर बम्प करता है उसका सिर घूमने लग जाता है फिर। तो जब वो नीचे गिरी होती है उसने एकदम से जेम की आवाज आती है कि वहां से उठो मूव अवे फ्रॉम देयर। I raised my head and stared at the Radley steps in front of me. I froze. तो क्या होता है वो रैडली प्लेस के वहां पहुंच जाती है। तो तभी उसको कहते हैं कि फटाफट वहां से हटो। Come on, Scout, don't just lie there, Jem was screaming. Get up, can't you? I got to my feet, trembling as I thought. Get the tire, Jem hollowed. Bring it with you. Ain't you got any sense at all? When I was able to navigate, I ran back to them as fast as my shaking knees would carry me. तो वो जल्दी से भाग के उनके पास चली जाती है. Why didn't you bring it? Jem yelled. Why don't you get it? I screamed. Jem was silent. तो वो जो वो टायर होता है वो वहीं छोड़ देती है. She doesn't get it. Go on, it ain't far inside the gate. Why, you even touched the house once, remember? Jem looked at me furiously, could not decline, ran down the sidewalk, treaded water at the gate, then dashed in and retrieved the tire. See there, Jem was scowling triumphantly. Nothing to it, I swear. Scout, sometimes you act so much like a girl, it's mortifying. There was more to it than he knew, but I decided not to tell him. तो जेम जाता है और वो टायर वापस लेके आता है. Calpurnia appeared in the front door and yelled, Lemonade time. You all get in out of that hot sun for your fry alive. Lemonade in the middle of the morning was a summertime ritual. Calpurnia set a pitcher and three glasses on the porch, then went about her business. Being out of Jen's good graces did not worry me especially. Lemonade would restore his good humor. तो इतने में कैलिफोर्निया उनको बुलाती है फॉर लेमनेड. तो आफ्टरनून में यूजुअली समर में इन तीनों का लेमनेड टाइम होता है. तो कैलिफोर्निया मेक्स लेमनेड फॉर देम. Jem gulped down his second glassful and slapped his chest. I know what we are going to play, he announced. Something new, something different. What? Asked Dill. Boo Radley. Jem's head at times was transparent. He had thought that up to make me understand. He wasn't afraid of Radley's in any shape or form to contrast his own fearless heroism with my cowardice. तो स्काउट सोचती है. जेम एक्चुअली कहता है कि अब हम क्या खेलेंगे, वील प्ले बू रैडली. तो उसका कैरेक्टर प्ले करने के लिए जेम कहता है. तो स्काउट सोचती है कि दिस इज, वो क्यों कहता है बू रैडली प्ले करने के लिए, जस्ट टू प्रूव कि वो उनसे डरता नहीं है. और जस्ट टू प्रूव स्काउट कि उसको डर नहीं लगता उनसे. Boo Radley, how? Asked him. Jem said, Scout, you can be Mrs. Radley. I declare if I will, I don't think. Smarter, said Dill. Still scared. He can get out at night when we are all asleep, I said. Jem hissed. Scout, how is he gonna know what we are doing? Besides, I don't think he's still there. He died years ago and they stuffed him up the chimney. तो स्काउट कहते हैं कि वो रात को जब हम सब सो रहे होंगे वो आ जाएगा. एंड स्काउट डर जाता है. तो जेन कहता है कि उसको कैसे पता चलेगा कि हम उसका कैरेक्टर प्ले कर रहे हैं. उसको कैसे पता चलेगा व्हाट वी आर डूइंग. और बेसिकली जेन के हिसाब से उसे लगता है कि ही डाइड इयर्स अगो. वो ही इज नॉट अलाइव. जेन जेन को लगता है वो जिंदा ही नहीं है इस घर में. Dill said, Jem, you and me can play and Scout can watch if she's scared. I was fairly sure Boo Radley was inside that house, but I couldn't prove it and felt it best to keep my mouth shut, or I would be accused of believing in hot steams, phenomena I was immune to in the daytime. तो स्काउट को लगता है कि ही इज अलाइव, बट वो प्रूव नहीं कर सकती. तो वो सोचती है कि इट्स बेटर कि वो चुप ही रहे. Jem parceled out our rolls. I was Mrs. Radley, and all I had to do was come out and sweep the porch. Dill was old Mr. Radley. He walked up and down the sidewalk and coughed when Jem spoke to him. Jem naturally was Boo. He went under the front steps and shrieked and howled from time to time. तो वो आपस में अपने रोल सेट करते हैं। तो स्काउट जो है वो मिसेस रैडली बनती है। तो उसका काम क्या होता है, टू स्वीप द पॉच। और डिल जो है वो मिस्टर रैडली है। तो वो क्या करता है, वो ही जस्ट वॉक्स अप एंड डाउन, और जब जेम उससे बात करता है वो कॉफ करना शुरू कर देता है। और जेम कौन बनता है, ही बिकम्स बू रैडली। और वो क्या करता है, बस यू नो उधर आगे जाके ना बस टाइम टू टाइम हाउल करना शुरू कर देता है। As the summer progressed, so did our game. We polished and perfected it, added dialogue and plot until we had manufactured a small play upon which we rang changes every day. तो वो रोज ये गेम उन्होंने खेलना शुरू कर दिया, और वो धीरे धीरे उसमें चेंजेस लाए और उसको परफेक्शन लाई उसके अंदर। सो दे वर एंजॉयिंग प्लेइंग दिस गेम। Dill was a villain's villain. He could get into any character part assigned him and appear tall if height was part of the devilry required. He was as good as his worst performance. His worst performance was Gothic. I reluctantly played assorted ladies who entered the script. I never thought it as much fun as Tarzan, and I played that summer with more than vague anxiety despite Jen's assurances that Boo Radley was dead and nothing would get me. With him in California there in the daytime and Atticus home at night. तो दिल जो है वो एक बहुत ही अच्छा एक्टर होता है, कोई भी उसको कैरेक्टर देते हैं वो बहुत अच्छे से उसको प्ले करता है। और जो स्काउट है वो खुद थोड़ी सी रेजिस्टेंट है इस रोल को प्ले करने के लिए, बट इस ड्रामा में इस रोल में कैरेक्टर को प्ले करने को। बट जेम उसको कहता है कि उसको लगता है कि वो रैडली इज नॉट अलाइव, ही इज डेड, और उसे कुछ नहीं होएगा क्योंकि कैलिफोर्निया है और एटिकस भी है। Jem was a born hero. It was a melancholy little drama woven from bits and scraps of gossip and neighborhood legend. Mrs. Radley had been beautiful until she married Mr. Radley and lost all her money. She also lost most of her teeth, her hair, and her right forefinger. Dill's contribution. Boo bit it off one night when he couldn't find any cats and squirrels to eat. She sat in the living room and cried most of the time, while Boo slowly whittled away all the furniture in the house. तो यहाँ पे वो मिसेस रैडली के बारे में बताते हैं कि वो शी यूज टू बी वेरी ब्यूटीफुल, बट जब उसकी शादी हो जाती है मिस्टर रैडली से, मतलब शी लूजेस ऑल हर मनी, देन अपेरेंटली हर टीथ, हर हेयर, और उसका राइट फोर फिंगर वो भी वो डिल अपेरेंटली डिल खा खा लेता है उसको। जिस दिन उसको कैट्स एंड स्क्विरल्स नहीं मिलते खाने को, ही ईट्स हर फिंगर। तो वो कहते शी यूज्ड टू सिट इन द लिविंग रूम एंड शी यूज्ड टू जस्ट कीप क्राइंग, रोती रहती थी। The three of us were the boys who got into trouble. I was the probate judge for a change. Dill led Jem away and crammed him beneath the steps, poking him with the brush broom. Jem would reappear as needed in the shapes of the sheriff, assorted townsfolk, and Miss Stephanie Crawford, who had more to say about the Radleys than anybody in Macon. When it was time to play Boo's big scene, Jem would sneak into the house, steal the scissors from the sewing machine drawer when Calpurnia's back was turned, then sit in the swing and cut up newspapers. Dell would walk by, cough at Jem, and Jem would fake a plunge into Dill's thigh. From where I stood, it looked real. When Mr. Nathan Bradley passed us on his daily trip to town, he would stand still and silent until he was out of sight. then wonder what he would do to us if he suspected. तो जब वो ये सब प्ले खेल रहे होते हैं आपस में, ये सारे कैरेक्टर्स प्ले कर रहे होते हैं, अपने आप की कॉस्ट्यूम चेंज कर करके, कभी स्टेफनी बन जाते थे, कभी कुछ करते थे। तो जिस टाइम नेथन रैडली पास करता था, ही यूज्ड टू पास देम, एंड दे यूज्ड टू जस्ट, वो बस चुपचाप खड़े हो जाते थे, बिकॉज वो सोचते थे कि पता नहीं वो क्या करेगा अगर उसको पता चलेगा कि ये लोग ऐसे एक्टिंग कर रहे हैं उन सबकी। Our activities halted when any of the neighbors appeared, and once I saw Miss Maudie Atkinson staring across the street at us, her hedge clippers poised in midair. One day we were so busily playing 20, uh, chapter 25, book 2 of One Man's Family, we did not see Atticus standing on the sidewalk looking at us, slapping a rolled magazine against his knee. The sun was 12 noon. तो एक दिन वो इतना बिजी थे खेलने में, उन्होंने देखा नहीं कि एटिकस उनको देख रहा था। What are you all playing? He asked. Nothing, said Jim. Jim's evasion told me our game was a secret, so I kept quiet. What are you doing with those scissors then? Why are you tearing up that newspaper? If it's today's, I'll tan you. Nothing what, said Atticus. Nothing, sir. Give me those scissors, Atticus said. There are no things to play with. Does this by any chance have anything to do with the Radleys? No, sir, said Jem, reddening. तो एटिकस उनसे पूछने लगता है कि तुम ये क्या कर रहे हो, व्हाट आर यू प्लेइंग, व्हाट आर यू कटिंग इन द न्यूज़पेपर। तो वो वो दोनों उसको कुछ नहीं बताते, वो कहते हैं हम कुछ नहीं कर रहे। No, sir, said Jem, reddening. I hope it doesn't, he said shortly and went inside the house. Jem, shut up. He's gone in the living room. He can hear us in there. Safely in the yard, Dill asked Jem if he could play anymore. I don't know. Atticus didn't say we couldn't. Jem, I said. I think Atticus knows it anyway. No, he don't. If he did, he'd say he did. I was not so sure, but Jem told me I was being a girl, that girls always imagined things. That's why other people hated them so. And if I started behaving like one, I could just go off and find some to play with. All right, you just keep it up then, I said. You'll find out. तो उनको लगता है कि ना एटिकस को पता नहीं है कि वो लोग खेल रहे थे, और एटिकस ने उनको वार्न भी किया कि नॉट टू प्ले अबाउट द रैडलीज, इट शुडंट बी एनीथिंग टू डू विद रैडलीज। Atticus's arrival was the second reason I wanted to quit the game. The first reason happened the day I rolled into the Radley front yard, through all the head shaking, quelling of nausea, and Jem yelling. I had heard another sound, so low I could not have heard it from the sidewalk. Someone inside the house was laughing. ओके, तो स्काउट को ऐसे लगता है कि उसने एक और आवाज कोई सुनी, और उसको लगता है कि कोई हंस रहा था घर के अंदर। Okay, so we've completed chapter 4 as well. Tomorrow we'll start chapter 5. So thank you so much for joining today's session. We'll see you all on Monday now. Thank you.